Hello, guys. I've actually been working on a new deck, but I'm not going to show you that quite yet today. I haven't played the games with it yet, but I will give you a spoiler slash hint. It is a budget deck where I don't use all my best cards, specifically for my budget players, and I think a lot of you guys are going to enjoy that. I won't spoil too much, and I'll just keep you guessing until I actually post it. But no, I am working on that. For today, I'm just going to continue showing you how my Simic deck is developing. And I'm going to start by showing you a 1 versus 1 game. I actually put a couple of them today, which is kind of interesting because this deck. Oh, I said I wasn't going to do that. Okay. We'll try not to do that. I still have a cold and I'm kind of spitting out a bunch of junk. I'm feeling a little bit better though. Um, anyway, I've been working on this deck and I think I'm getting it to a point where it's definitely a lot better than it was before. I'm still not 100% happy with it, and I'm still tweaking it. But it's interesting because it's a multiplayer deck, and it really abuses and is very much all in on the Seedborn Muse. And so in one-on-one, the effectiveness of the deck should go down greatly. It should definitely not work as well, though I haven't been dominating people with it. I've had a pretty decent time with the deck. This actually ends up being an excellent game against Nissa Vastwood Seer here, so mono green deck. And I'm feeling okay about this hand. It's got birds, it's got Soul Ring, and the plan I'm thinking here is okay, turn one birds, turn two I can play my Soul Ring, and then still play my Triton Hero. Excuse me. And from there, I'll be able to either drop my Kydella or start making using the Thrasos to draw cards. I've got plenty of land drops. I've got one delay for defense. It'll kind of depend on my opponent from there. It's definitely a mana source heavy hand. There's not a lot of action. But with a Soul Ring and a Birds, I feel like this hand is probably fine. So my opponent gets to play. Um, he leads with a Mana Crypt. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, this could be a problem. So now he's got the tempo and he's got the better Mana Rock. My hand doesn't have a ton of early defenses. I'm hoping he doesn't do anything too crazy. He plays Lotus Cobra, which at first this is a little confusing to me because you'd think it'd be better to curve out into the Nissa Vastwood Seer. So this makes me think either he doesn't want to play the Nissa because he's got a great play to make with the Lotus Cobra on his subsequent turn, or his sequencing just doesn't matter, in which case I probably would have played the Nissa first anyway. So I'm not quite sure why he leads with the Lotus Cobra. But either way, I'm quite scared at this point because he represents being able to simply drop a land and be at 5 mana on turn 2. So it also means as easily playing his Vastwood Seer guarantees it pretty much. He will easily be at 6 or more mana on turn 3 by the time I finally get my counterspell up. So I'm going to go ahead and still lead the birds, keep my options open since I can play the Soul Ring and it'll immediately tap for mana. His turn 2, he immediately runs out his Nissa, plays a land, ramps, and look at what he gets with this Into the North, which is, I actually kind of was thinking he's going to play Into the North because I saw his snow lands. So, yay for me calling that out, I guess. But he plays this Mouth of Ranum, which is really, really scary to me at this point because though it costs 5 to activate, this is a creature-based deck, and this can kill both my commanders as well as the Birds of Paradise I already have out. And if you look, on his next turn, all he would have to do is drop a land. And he has access to 6 mana, actually. So he could immediately activate that, kill my birds, and I could just be completely and totally locked out of this game. So I'm, in fact, very, very scared at this point. This Lotus Cobra comes in and hits me for 2. Not my biggest problem. So I'm thinking, deck, please give me anything to not get completely annihilated by this guy right now. And my deck obliges and gives me this Nature's Claim, which is absolutely excellent here. Because not only can I kill his Mana Crypt, I get to play my Soul Ring, and then I can camp behind my delay. So I'm thinking, excellent. I'm not in a horrible position anymore. If I can keep him off the mana for his Ice Land there, I should be okay, though that could be quite difficult considering, yet again, on his next turn now, he could just drop a land, have 5 mana from everything but his mouth and just kill my birds, or should I choose to play my bigger mana dork. And he plays a Corrosive Grip. So not only can I not delay this to defend my Soul Ring, I'm back down to 3 mana. I tap it just in case he's got some kind of follow-up. He doesn't. He smartly goes to his next main phase, even if he didn't, I would assume. And we draw Green Sun Zenith. And Green Sun Zenith here, again, typically this is just another go get Seedborn Muse card for when I'm playing multiplayer. And I'm playing from behind here in a really, really bad position, mana-wise, with him threatening to kill my birds. And I honestly feel like I have to keep open delay. Maybe if he stalls on lands, I can even counter a ramp spell just to keep my mana sources on the field and defend the birds. I'm going to throw the Triton Hero out because there's no reason not to, as well as the fact that I'd actually rather him at this position kill that than my birds, and potentially he would. He doesn't have the land drop. He's going for Eternal Witness, so I'm obviously going to delay that. I cannot allow him to get Mana Crypt or Into the North back up, which could probably potentially get him, Scrying Sheets, which would be absolutely disgusting. So I don't know which one he's going for, or even Corrosive Grip if I potentially draw into another good artifact. I cannot let Witness happen, but now he's got a Eternal Witness on Suspend, and we are nowhere close to winning this game. So that is something I'm going to have to worry about next turn, or in the near future, rather, not the next turn. I draw a Windfall, and Windfall, yet again, is another card that's a lot weaker in 1 versus 1 if you're not like really dedicated to it. And his hand is nearly empty, so this really is a very weak Windfall at this point in the game. So I'm not feeling very confident. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Flood Strand out, and I'm just going to go ahead and play the Kydella, because I feel like I'm very, very far behind, and I'll make him choose whether he wants to kill it, and maybe he won't have the land. And I could potentially use the Windfall, and then in combination with her, be able to make some sort of play on my next turn to come back if he doesn't kill it. And he plays a land, and it's a Nykthos, and I'm thinking, great. All he has to do is use his Mouth of Ranum, and kill my Kydella, and I'm probably going to be in a very, very bad position. But inexplicably, he plays Gaia's Touch instead, possibly to get this Nykthos up. But he has to get rid of his snow mana to do it, and it's only 4. So he doesn't kill my guy, which I'm quite happy about. He does, however, play a Temur Sabertooth, which is going to allow him to at least start bouncing his commander and then dropping lands. And I'm thinking he will very soon kill my Kydella, and I really have to find something good yet again on this turn, or I'm in trouble. So I go ahead and fetch the Breeding Pool tapped. I don't want to be drawing lands, and I kind of need it anyway. And Mox Diamond, excuse me, Mox Diamond is an absolutely horrible card to draw from this position. It does absolutely nothing for me. I'm trying to decide whether I want to draw 3 cards and not have a mana, or draw 2 cards and play the tower. And the Green Sun Zenith, there's nothing I can really grab with it that's going to get me out of this problematic situation I'm in. Muse is just too slow from here, so I decide the best play is to play the Reliquary Tower and then Windfall, and then I'll potentially have 6 mana after drawing 2, which is not very good. However, I hit Consecrated Sphinx, which yet again is another card that's not as good in one-on-one. However, it's quite good in this situation. It gives me some chance to win here. It'll draw me 2 cards immediately, and then if this game goes too much longer, it can draw me even more than that. It's also outside of the kill range for his Snowland, which is excellent, and makes me not too reliant on the cards I have in play anymore. So I'm not absolutely in dire straits anymore, but I'm still not necessarily in a great position. It kind of depends on what's in his hand. He discarded this Baloths, so at the very worst, his Witness can come back and get him a kill condition. I'm hoping he doesn't have anything better than that in his hand, any big mana card to use with this Nykthos. He plays a Sky Shroud Ranger, which does pretty much nothing for him. He uses Temur Sabertooth to bounce his Nissa, which is another thing. When that Eternal Witness comes back in, that Sabertooth is going to be able to bounce it as well. Luckily, he doesn't have anything too scary in his graveyard. It's pretty much just the Ballast at this point. And he goes ahead and bounces the Nissa, uses his touch to flip her, and then doesn't want to create the 4/4. He thinks he wants to dig for cards, which I kind of agree with that. He finds an Explosive Vegetation. He's going to go ahead and run that out, so now he has got even more mana. Still has not activated his Mouth of Ranum. I think he kind of made a slight misplay here. He should have used the 2 mana and this to give unblockable to his Temur Sabertooth and swung, but I don't think it's going to be incredibly relevant either way, which is possibly what he's thinking. But my Sphinx plus my draw has drawn me absolutely crap. Chromox, Forest, Arbor Elf, not really what I want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and run out the Oracle and try to eat through potential land drops here off the top of my deck. And what do you know? I got a land right there. Um, Coalition Relic is another card I really don't want to see here. I need some kind of win card or some way to blow his board back. So I decide I'm going to play the Forest, play the Arbor Elf onto the Chrome Mox, and activate Triton Hero on my turn. Just trying to get me into something a little bit better, leaving up 2 blue for my counterspell and my mana drain, as well as my other 2 CC counters, just in case he gets something really gross. And I draw it off the Sphinx, but I'm really looking for some kind of win card here, because now that he has the Baloths, he's going to be killing me very, very quickly. So I draw a Rexage and a Brainstorm. And the Brainstorm is actually excellent, because it's going to give me not only more mana on my next turn, if he does play a game-ending spell, I can search for my Force of Will. He plays the Baloths, so there's that. Threatening to potentially kill me on my next turn. Sabertooth, Bouncing Witness. Again, Explosive Vegetation. And I don't know if you saw this, but Worldly Tutor off of the Nissa. So I am pretty sure I'm dead on his next turn. Without a counterspell, that is. I need to at least find a counterspell or I'm dead on his next turn. And the reason being, he could go get a Craterhoof Behemoth and just slaughter me. So I need to find a counterspell to stay alive. Preferably, I'd rather get Cyclonic Rift or a win card, like Tooth and Nail, or Vorinclex plus Creature Tutor, or something of that nature, or Time Spiral or Time Twister would be excellent. Memory Jar would be excellent. All those cards are comboing with the Consecrated Sphinx and would probably give me instant wins. I don't think... I don't know. I think Mind Over Matter would probably win from this position, just because I have the Brainstorm to start the chain. So I've actually got a decent number of outs, and I've got a Brainstorm to look for him. He goes ahead and plays Explosive Vegetation, just putting more dudes into play. I'm assuming he's just going to use the Worldly Tutor as upkeep. I'm actually kind of surprised he doesn't use the Snowland finally on this turn, where he's really got a good opportunity to kill the Kydella. I'm actually kind of surprised, or at least something. And I'm actually also surprised that he picked up the Mana Crypt with the Witness and not the Corrosive Grip, or leaving mana open, or the Vegetation for his next turn, or even, for that matter, the Into the North to go get Scrying Sheets. I was just kind of really confused by the fact that he chose the Mana Crypt, so a little bit of misplay by my opponent here in the end. He plays a Skull Clamp, and I'm like thinking, I really hope you clamp and kill something to get more cards, because you really don't want to be giving me cards with that Sphinx out. And it turns out I don't need the Brainstorm or anything, because the Tooth and Nail's right on top of the deck. Well, I take that back. I do need just the Brainstorm to pick it up, but I don't need to dig very deep for it. So it finds me the Brainstorm. I can put lands on top of my deck, and I even found the Vorinclex. So the writing is now on the wall. I just gotta go get my Palinchron combo, and he loses. I decided to get Witness as well, just to speed the process up, because I can go get Tooth and Nail back and then just get Phantasmal Image, so that my chain bouncy type deal is a little bit faster. So, long story short, zip. And if he kept that Corrosive Grip, I'd need the Witness to pick back up the Aetherflux Reservoir. I find Fabricate fairly quickly, drop the Aetherflux Reservoir. Since it's one-on-one, it only takes like 2, maybe 3 cards cast to kill him. And just to add insult to injury, I overload a Cyclonic Rift off the Merchant Scroll as my kill with Aetherflux, and I let it resolve before I kill him, because, I don't know, I just felt like it. So, I thought that was a pretty good game. My opponent had an excellent start. I obviously had a decent, pretty good start and some pretty lucky top decks. At least as far as the Nature's Claim goes. If I hadn't drawn that Nature's Claim, I think he would have just blown me out with his Snowland. However, we were able to come back and win. So these are all the games I played today. I'm pretty sure, other than this free 4 game where I was just messing around with this guy, I'm pretty sure they're all with the Simic deck. I guess I'll go down the chain in order. That was the last game. So this is going to be another one-on-one game. I don't really remember this game all too well. Maybe when I see it I will. Okay, so... This hand is keepable, but it's not necessarily very good. This was an interesting game. This was the Deathrite Shaman game. Okay, so this guy leads with Deathrite Shaman. So immediately I'm like, okay, the Scalding Tarn isn't as good, so I'm just going to lead Island. And also, by nature, makes the regrowth not as good because I was kind of planning on picking back up the Tarn with regrowth since the Cradle's not online. But I top deck an island, so that's pretty good. My opponent looks to be mana screwed, though, so I definitely don't want to be playing Scalding Tarn anytime soon. And luckily, I top deck Breeding Pool here, which is going to allow me to get Triton Hero out and turn the Gaia's Cradle online. So that's excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. My opponent finds his second land here, and he gets Lightning Greaves. So now I can no longer steal his Deathrite Shaman with Sower, which is something I planned on doing in the future at least. Note that Venser is actually one of the new cards added to the deck. I'll go over that at the end of the video what the deck lists look like currently. And I've been kind of happy with the Venser. Gives me another counterspell, and I still don't even know if I'm playing enough counterspells. And I added that, and I added Swan Song. I cut Exploration just because I felt like just because of how Thrasos works, or however the heck you say his name, Thrasios, I guess. I felt like it's just not very necessary. Oracle I still think is good because it's a creature, so it has some benefits there as well. But it's being able to see the top of my deck and play cards off the top for card advantage. But without the Crucible Worlds being in the deck anymore, and some of the other things, I just don't think the Exploration is as good. But I don't think that is. I think that's what I cut for the Swan Song. I cut the Body Double for the Venser, which ironically, because the Body Double had been pretty bad, the first time I drew the Venser, you'll get to see it later. Let's just talk about this game. I draw Time Spiral, which is not so bad. But from this position, yet again, I really don't want to play the Scalding Tarn into his Deathrite Shaman. So I'm not going to do that, even though I'd like to use their growth. So I think the best play here is simply to get Birthing Pod out and just sit here. He's not really doing anything. Now he wastelands my Breeding Pool. So once he's made this play, his Deathrite Shaman can now activate. He's playing Moren, by the way. I guess I should have said that. He can now produce mana. And he, in fact, does exile my Breeding Pool. And he plays Merciless Executioner, killing my hero. So I'm not too happy about that. However, this does give me an opening to use my Scalding Tarn and pick the land back up. So even though it seems better maybe to curve into Coalition Relic, I want to be able to pick that land back up when he can't exile it with my Deathrite Shaman and gate his mana with the Deathrite Shaman at the same time. So he has no play now. Forbid off the top is excellent. I'm going to play the Cradle, and I'm going to play Coalition Relic, because again, I do not want to give him Scalding Tarn to use. And I don't really feel like I have so much pressure right now. Okie doke. He plays a Mana Vault. He exiles for black, and he's going to immediately use his Mana Vault to get his Moren, which is fine. It's going to give him back the Executioner. However, because he did this, I drew Temple of Mystery here. I can again choose not to play the Scalding Tarn, and I can immediately get rid of his Moren, and he's still in this mana screwed position. And the Temple, in fact, is nice here because I get a Scry. Rhystic Study, not very good in one-on-one, though he does have gated mana, so it's not horrible. But it's really not what I want from this position. So I go ahead and decide to ship that. He sends me a message. I think it's just GG. Yeah, apparently he didn't draw what he needed to. I've got this Forbid coming up. I've got a Sower for if he does replay his Commander. And you might think, why didn't I just take it with the Sower? And the idea there was that I didn't want to lose the Sower to the Fleshbag Marauder. And because of that, I also felt like I could Birthing Pod, Venser away into either the Seedborn Muse or the Teferi, most likely the Seedborn Muse. But even that I kind of didn't want to do. What I really wanted to do was let him Fleshbag the Venser or Fleshbag something else and then steal his Moren and then pod his Moren into Seedborn Muse was the idea. So my opponent just getting completely mana screwed here, and once I bounce his Moren and he fails to find more lands, he kind of gets owned here. But it was interesting that I had to kind of play around that Deathrite Shaman, which was very, very powerful for him this game. Unfortunately, he couldn't really do too much else. I wish I could play this card in this deck as well as some other decks, but because it has the black part of its symbol, I don't get to play it. So there was that game. Next is a multiplayer game. So maybe we'll get to see the new cards as we play here. Doop. I didn't vet all these games, so some of them might bug, I'm not sure. We've got Duran, a 5-color deck, someone else playing Kaidella, as well as Isha Outja Dragon Speaker, which whenever an opponent casts a spell, it gets bigger. So it's a fairly big Voltron-y type threat, though I don't think his pair is necessarily the best. Um, I'm not too worried about it, but my hand is actually pretty good here. I've got 4 lands, so my land drops are A-okay. I've got Worldly Tutor to go find my Seaborn Muse. I've got Training Grounds to make the engine instantly very, very powerful, as well as having a turn 1 play, and I have a mana drain, so this hand is excellent. Um, First to play is Duran. He sacks for a Plains. I draw Fabricate. Yet again, pretty excellent early game card. I'm going to go ahead and go right out to Training Grounds. And we get double Soul Rings, and one of it is Soul Ring into Sword of the Animist, which is a decent card. And then just a tap 3-color land from this guy over here, so he's pretty far behind, actually, as this game started up pretty quickly. It's interesting, I draw the Rhystic Study here, which normally you would slam this as soon as possible. However, you'll see in this game, that's not the line of play I choose to take. What I'm going to do here instead is slam my commander right away. I don't. Now, there's definitely a decision to be made in that there are 2 Soul Ring players, so I could be wanting to mana drain for the mana early here. But I don't really have a lot of color down. I don't really have anything to feed it to quite yet, and I'd rather save it because I don't have another counter spell anyway. It actually matters that it's a counter spell in this deck. They're fairly important, and I felt like this guy was going to possibly develop with this anyway, and he in fact does. This guy is actually mana screwed. I guess he kept the hand off of Soul Ring, 2 land strength, and maybe if he got a 3rd land, he'd be fine. I'm assuming maybe he has green cards in his hand. So from this position, again, I don't really want to play the Rhystic Study. But what I want to do is keep the mana drain up. And the idea here is that I can go mana drain plus Worldly Tutor and get my Seedborn Muse online and start really abusing the Training Grounds Seedborn Muse Triton Hero combo. I see this Mace Enchantress, and it doesn't really entice me. I'm more worried about other things, and I can get more mana from these other 2 players, though he's mana screwed. So I'm definitely kind of thinking, what can I get from this player? He does not oblige. So now I'm thinking maybe I should have got the Mace Enchantress, but here comes a 4-drop. And yet again, it's like a really crappy 4-drop. So I decide yet again I'm just simply not going to burn the drain. And I just go for the Scry here with Triton Hero. So I guess maybe it would have been better to play the Rhystic Study. However, Palinchron is absolutely horrible. So I'm going to go ahead and ship that card right away. And I get a land into play, which is excellent. And I can go ahead and I can Worldly Tutor right now for my Seaborn Muse because I hit that land. It ends up being a good call not playing the Rhystic Study because now I can immediately drop my Seaborn Muse. I don't see blue mana untapped on this guy's end. He would have to have some kind of red or green. I guess he has a Vivid Crag, so I guess he does represent possibly countering me. But I think from this position, there's no reason not to just go for it. I guess it maybe would have been a little safer, but I'm really not too worried with a Rhystic Study. Training Grounds already for my commander. I feel like going for it is a good idea. And now I'm in pretty much a dominating position, right? Because the first land I hit will give me 3 activations a cycle, and I already get 2 activations in this first cycle, and I get a camp behind a mana drain. So he plays Enchantress Presence. I'm really not so concerned about that. I go ahead and use Triton Hero, find a land, put it on top because it's going to give me more activations on the subsequent turns. Again, I find Teferi, which is an excellent card here to combo with the Muse. I can flash it in. He goes for a Dune Brood Nephilim. Yet again, doesn't really concern me, considering how dominating my position is. And I'm going to go ahead, while he's tapped out, shut down all the counter spells and just give me supreme control of this game. To show you how mana screwed this guy is, he has to main phase because it's Teferi. Main phase paths his own Restoration Gearsmith, which is nice for 2 reasons. One, he would have had to try to main phase aim it at Seedborn, which I could have countered, obviously, and I would have. But also, he's just so mana screwed, and he got the green, that I feel like he can't really do anything. Yavimai Coast, I decide the ramp is fine here. Though I do really want to be able to get cards. I've got the engine already, so I'm going to go ahead and flash my commander in off the Teferi and be a little bit greedy. I draw a Time Twister, which with Kaidella could potentially net me an instant win, but I've already got this mana drain. And from this position, I don't really want to give my hand away, and I'm just going to continue to develop here. I decided to get Coalition Relic because it's got synergy with the Seedborn Muse to where it could give me a bunch of mana on my next turn. I don't feel like I needed to go get Birthing Pod and pot anything away. I've got my important cards out. I don't really feel like I needed to go get Reservoir early and risk getting it killed. I feel like I can have Time Twister as a backup way to kill people if I don't draw into the right cards and just kind of camp on this mana drain. And I think I go ahead and slam the Rhystic Study. I could have just put a charge counter and used my commander once, but I decided to slam the Rhystic Study instead. This guy plays his commander, and that could potentially, with the amount of spells I want to cast, kill me fairly quickly. I consider not getting rid of it, but with 2 counter spells and a Time Twister, I feel like I can dig and then get rid of it if I need to. So Preordain, I'll take that. Island, I'll put that on bottom, get it land anyway. Trinket Mage, I'll take that. And then I'm going to go ahead and hardcast Force of Will with the +3 drawn cards off of my Kydella here. I've still got a mana drain up. And then put a charge on the Relic. This guy swings at somebody that's not me, so I don't care. He makes some tokens and doesn't do anything else relevant. I flash in this. Going to get Soul Ring. Just more mana. Put Witness in my hand. Go ahead and flash in Witness. Pick back up my Force of Will. I'm not sure why I didn't activate my commander again there. I want to say I forgot about Teferi for half a second or something like that. It's the only reason I could see not using the last scry. So slight misplay, but I'm so far ahead it doesn't really matter. He goes for Oracle. Goes ahead and pays for it. I go ahead and mana drain it just so I can get tons of mana on my turn. And I get cards. And Exploration actually recently cut for a Swan Song, but as you can see, I don't even think it's very good here. Actually, it's completely useless other than a Storm. I guess for my Aether Flux. The other 2 I scoop it in, which is fine because I'm essentially going to just slaughter them here. Recurring Insight, hits Memory Jar, plus Future Sight, plus Time Twister. I could easily go for the combo kill here. No problem. Kill his Soul Ring. Go for Future Sight. Metamorph, copying Memory Jar. And I could potentially go for the kill here, but I don't really see any reason to. I'll just draw into my counter spells and just pass back. No reason to be greedy and potentially lose a game that I've got completely locked. Even though chances are like very, very high that I would have won. He attacks me with all. I get a block. I'll sack my Trinket Mage and my Seedborn Muse. Trinket Mage and my, not my Seedborn Muse, my Eternal Witness to kill his dude and block a bunch of other tokens with guys who don't die. He's got 2 tokens. He goes to cast something. I don't know if it's relevant. What is it? I'm going to counter it, whatever it is, most likely. I mean, I've got tons of counter spells. Martial Coup, so definitely relevant. Draw a card with my thingy. I'll just kill it with Denial off the top. And there's Tooth and Nail, so he's just dead. But we'll just add insult to injury and activate this a bunch of times. And then draw a zillion cards. And from this position, he's just totally dead. So, find Aether Flux Reservoir, kill him. Okay, so that game was kind of a slaughter. That one wasn't the good one. This one I think was the slightly better game. Though again, I think I had a dominating position most of the game. Counterspell. Now this is an interesting game. Counterspell 5 lands Metamorph doesn't really have any development for me. It's nice to have the counterspell against the Mizzix because most people try to ram that out and they usually have a lot of 2cc stones to ram it out quickly. But I'm playing last here and I feel like this hand is just not going to be good enough, so I go ahead and ship it. Just not that exciting. I no longer have a counterspell to deal with that, but I do have a Sylvan Library as well as a Worldly Tutor now. I've got both a Sphinx and a Time Spiral, which was kind of awkward, but it's nice that I have something big to kind of follow up with. This is an easy keep. turn 1 Mana Dork, turn 1 Soul Ring, and turn 1 just plays a Swamp and F8s for no reason. Cradle off the top, not very good here since I don't have a ton of creatures. Still not incredibly sad to see it because it is a very good land, though I am behind here. So I should have played the Hinterland Harbor here, just in case I drew a counter spell potentially and needed to cast it on my next turn. Though honestly, I don't think it matters because even if I draw the counter spell, I'm slamming the Sylvan Library. Though I don't really think I was going to cast Worldly Tutor. I guess this keeps my options open a little bit better since this comes into play on tap now. And I really intend on playing the library, but there's something to be said for playing the harbor. He goes ahead and does not play his commander. He plays a Helmir Depths and a Commander Sphere, so I'm kind of glad to not see his commander. Mesmeric Orb. That is absolutely gross. And this is right after I cut the body double, so I'm really hoping I don't mill my Seedborn Muse or something important. And that card's going to be relatively annoying with how I'm playing. I could actually kill myself quite easily. Memory Jar off the top is not very good. Hinterland Harbor, obviously going to throw down the Sylvan Library. That guy starts getting his crap milled. Plays his commander. This guy plays a Thermo Alchemist, which seems pretty bad, honestly. It's a defender with a 0/3 that can ping everybody when he casts spells, so I guess it's kind of a kill condition, but it's like a very, very poor one. I don't really like that card at all, and I'm very surprised he doesn't play his commander. Maybe he's waiting until he's a counter spell to defend it. Not quite sure. This guy goes ahead and plays Animate Dead off his Mesmeric Orb, kind of cute, and he gets a Selva Explored return. I'm not so sad about that. Extra cards isn't necessarily bad for me. I mill Phantasmal Image and Reliquary Tower, which is perfectly fine because I don't really need those cards right here. Chrome Mox off the top is actually excellent. Tooth and Nail and Trinket Mage. I don't need Tooth and Nail right now. I do want Trinket Mage, and the reason Chrome Mox is so excellent is because I don't need Time Spiral and Sphinx. I decided I'm going to bend Sphinx because Time Spiral will allow me to get back any cards that I need that get milled off that Mesmeric Orb. So I'm going to go ahead and bend the Consecrated Sphinx, getting Soul Ring, and then I can get my Soul Ring out off of the Chrome Mox. So Trinket Mage and Chrome Mox, excellent. And the plan here is to, before the Mesmeric Orb, well, after the Mesmeric Orb untaps my stuff, to go get Seedborn Muse, and then be able to cast Triton Hero, and then follow that up with Cradle, tap Cradle, and I'll have enough mana exactly to play Seedborn Muse, assuming it doesn't get milled by the Mesmeric Orb. However, this guy very much does not like Mesmeric Orb, because despite the fact that me and Mizzix are way far ahead of this guy, and we both have Soul Rings out, he decides to use his turn to kill the Mesmeric Orb, and I think he even says, "I don't like Mill Bro," or something like that. Something silly. So I'm kind of surprised. Maybe he doesn't like getting his stuff animated deaded. Has important cards, but typically white-green has a lot of recursion, so I'm actually kind of surprised that he makes that play. I'm really expecting Mizzix again, but he taps for 6, and I'm like, well, I hope he doesn't spiral now, though I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world. Getting a new hand wouldn't be horrible here, but I kind of want to get my Seedborn Muse. And he plays a Dig Through Time, exiling some stuff, so that's pretty good, but not that good. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just wait through that instant speed, but I guess he wanted his land drop. So I'm assuming one of the cards from the Dig Through Time was land drop. Reveals are Thought Vessel, Entreat the Angels, which he can't afford to cast at this point, and Terramorphic Expanse, which he will go and get a island with. Plays a Nyx Weaver, which is kind of interesting. Return target base. He's got a very interesting kind of more casual graveyardy deck with CDC. So now I don't even have to worry about Mesmeric Orb triggers, but the plan is still the same. I'm going to go get Seedborn Muse. I'm kind of surprised. Excuse me. I didn't take both those cards because I really need to find a counter spell to defend the Seedborn Muse. So I probably should have taken both the Ponder and the Sensei's Top. I'm not quite sure why I decided to just take one. I guess I was a little bit worried about my life total, though I really shouldn't have been. There's really nothing on the board that really threatens it as of right now. So I should have probably taken both of those cards. I think my thinking was I could scry the one card I knew I didn't want to the bottom and save some life. But honestly, I should have just bend it because I need Counterspell. And I need Counterspell because I don't have one, and that is a Day of Judgment, which is not so good for me. Turns my Cradle offline, kills my Seaborn Muse. I don't have the Body Double to get it back, though. I do have a Spiral to shuffle it back in. So no good there. I'm going to go ahead and look, put the Ponder on the bottom, and I get a Sakura Tri-Belter, which I guess isn't horrible. Go again. I would bend the Spiral to force. Cyclonic Rift, bottom again. Get a land into play, which isn't horrible considering I lost the Cradle. So getting my mana back up a little bit. So Thought Vessel still does not play his commander. Plays the other commander, Melik Izzet Paragon. Land on top of his deck. Jixar is kind of mana screwed here. Plays another little weird mana dork that mills himself, so I guess that's not horrible. Activate. And what's interesting here is that would have been body double. So I could have got my Seaborn Muse back. However, note that it's not necessarily strictly worse here. Because I still haven't found, had I not had this card, I still wouldn't have any kind of counterspell to defend that Seaborn Muse. It's kind of funny that the body double is like super useless, like 20 games in a row, and then as soon as I take it out, I'm like, man, I could really go for a body double right now. Though honestly, if I played the body double, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could actually, yeah, I could still play Thrasos behind it. So it would have been, I think, maybe slightly better. However, I decided instead to just play Kaidel. And then I think about it for a while, and I consider investing in the memory jar, but then decide I really would rather keep up my my Venser just in case something crazy happens. And I'll just put the Tri-Belter out there, and I'll be able to tap the Cradle to play the Venser. So Amira Angel doesn't really scare me. Not too concerned. Now the Mizzix player is why I kept the Venser up. He could just go off with that amount of mana. Replication on the Angel does not scare me. Mizzix Mastery on top of his deck with Dig Through Time and Replication doesn't really scare me. I could have bounced his commander so he couldn't double flash it. But really, I'm more concerned about the Dig Through Time than I am the Replication. I don't want him to be able to go off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Venser his Replication copy. He doesn't get it back to his hand, so it's just a hard counter. And that'll stop him from getting anything gross. Get his Force of Will, get his win cards, and keep him off of anything like that. I really don't give this guy much credit for having a very strong play at just 3 or 4 or 5 mana, rather. So he just goes ahead and plays his commander. Gets fairly unlucky, doesn't hit anything. So we see a counterspell off of the library, and Vorinclex and a Coalition Relic. I decided to put those down. I don't really need those cards. I mean, I guess I could play the Vorinclex. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, why didn't I take the Vorinclex? Especially if I'm planning on casting Spiral. Why didn't I keep the Vorinclex? Maybe that's not what I drew and this is going to bug. I think I was just stupid. I want to say I'm just stupid. Or I wanted to be really greedy? I don't know. Regardless, I want to say that was just very stupid not taking the Klex. However, notice how amazing not taking this... Did this game bug? Time Spiral. No, because he didn't have the removal spell till after Spiral. Yeah, not playing Klex was stupid. So yeah, there's that. I didn't even notice I made that misplay. I'm so dumb. I don't even think I counted my mana. Either that or I didn't even factor that this was tapping for 3 with the library, which I should know. Apparently this is before I cut Exploration, which yet again is completely and totally worthless here. So I tap and I fabricate and I go get Aether Flux, thinking I could potentially win here off of this memory jar plus untapping my commander. However, my commander eats his swords, and I should have, yet again, another little misplay. Should have probably played the Archmage first, but in my grand stupidity, I didn't. So this guy gets to waste 2 of my blue mana. My commander is gone, so I do not get to get all that yummy mana that I could have potentially crushed them with a memory jar. Instead, I have a bunch of floating mana and not a whole lot to do. However, Seaborn Muse is back in the deck. So we're going to go ahead and Green Sun Zenith out that. And we're going to have just enough mana to play her partner in crime here. Off the recast. Oh yeah, now I remember. Use the Carpet of Flowers first because the Mizzix player has plenty of mana. And then I can go Triton Hero. Look with top. And I see Land, Forbid, Force of Will. So Forbid is going to go on top because that's the first counter spell I want to be able to have access to. Because I consider both Exploration and Windfall to be fairly useless from this position. Considering I've already got the Memory Jar and I have a Witness, but I mean it's not useless. But I've got tons of draw with Seedborn Muse plus Triton Hero, and I've got a Memory Jar, so it's really not that good. So he plays Harmonic Sliver. I obviously don't want to lose my kill condition, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of Harmonic Sliver and buy it back. Plus I can always Witness it back. So there's that. Plays a land. Aura Shards. Now, I'm really surprised he didn't play the Aura Shards before the land. I think maybe that was a slight misplay from him. But again, I don't want to lose my kill condition from this position. Then I'd have to find Time Twister to get it back, which would be incredibly annoying. I guess I could Witness it back. But I really don't want to deal with it, and I figure I can get more value off just cracking the Memory Jar since I can draw on these two players' turns anyway. So I crack the Memory Jar and I find Teferi. I know the Force of Will is going to be in the hand, so all I really need to find was a blue card to be able to pitch a card. Pitch the Merchant Scroll since I'm losing these cards anyway. He casts a Worldly Tutor for a 6 Slime, which really doesn't bother me, and then he promptly scoops for no reason. That guy scoops because he decides he doesn't want to face me alone. I flash into Teferi, put Mana Drain on top, followed by Chord, and this guy scoops as well. I think the writing was on the wall at this point. I think I just have one more game. It's probably going to be quite a long video. No, I have 2 more games. See if I can go through them quickly. My first opponent here is Jay and Silent Bob. He is playing Freylisa. Oh, I remember this game too. This was a pretty good game. I feel like my opponent made some very, very poor decisions. I lead with Soul Ring. I'm on the play. I don't really have a whole lot of defense, but I do have Tooth and Nail. I kept the hand off the strength of Soul Ring and my commanders alone. He leads Llanowar Elves, which is pretty much expected from Mono Green. And I go ahead and I play Kydella. Just trying to get the Tooth and Nail mana as quickly as possible. I gave some thought. Excuse me. I gave some thought to sowering his Llanowar Elves, and I thought it probably was the best play. But I wanted to be greedy, and there's a potential that he drops. What I was thinking is if he drops the elf that taps for mana for all his elves, the what is it called? 1 green old man looking elf thing. That I would much rather steal that. However, I should have taken it because look at this land, Mana Crypt. Oh, that is absolutely brutal. So I'm thinking this could be very, very bad. I'm assuming he's going to go Freylise minus kill your Soul Ring. Now, of course, the bad thing about that is because he has to tap his Llanowar Elves, I get to kill his Freylise. So maybe he's not going to make that play. But I am, in fact, very, very scared of that play. But it really wouldn't be the end of the world, considering I would still have my Kydell, and then I could sower any potential other mana dorks he plays. So I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to do. I don't know if it's... I'm assuming maybe it's either Freylise +1, make a dork, or Freylise minus. Instead, he gets Garruk Primal Hunter, which is kind of an interesting card. This makes me think that since he does that and he plays the Beast, he really wants to use that card draw. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of lands, and that's also the reason he didn't want to kill the Soul Ring, was mostly because he needed to be able to make land drops back up, and maybe his hand didn't really have too much to offer. Though if he had this in his hand and that land, he still could have killed my Soul Ring, and then if I killed his Freylise, he could have followed up with the Garruk. So I feel like that was maybe a slightly stronger play from him. Not quite sure why he didn't make it. Regardless, I decide my best play here is just going to be to get Rex Sage with this Chord of Calling and just take out his Mana Crypt. Because I'm getting a read that he doesn't have a ton of mana, and I kind of want to slow him down. I don't want him to get that Freylise out very quickly. So he goes ahead and plays that. That's what it's called, Elvish Archjode. He actually plays it this game. So followed by an Elvish Mystic. So gating his mana didn't really work. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do so again, as well as get my mana up and move towards Tooth and Nail. And I've also got this Mystical Tutor, so if I need to, Since Tooth and Nail doesn't win yet, because you need to get to 6 lands to win with Tooth and Nail, and I would only be at 5 on my next turn. Yet again, I'm not playing the Deadeye Navigator, which is slightly better combo-wise, just because it costs less mana to win. But I'm not playing that, so I don't really have that line of play. So I'm thinking it's just going to be Cyclonic Rift. Um, so if he kills the Soul Ring, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excuse me, 8 mana. So I'll still be able to Rift, but I really don't want him to kill the Soul Ring. He makes a Mana Dork, and I go get Cyclonic Rift, and I think this game is far from over, but he just goes ahead and scoops. I mean, if I bounce all this back to his hand, it's definitely not a great position for him. And if I top deck a land, I am going to kill him with this Tooth and Nail. I actually didn't. I didn't check the next card. I guess I should have. So perhaps it's not too early for him to scoop. But yet again, when he played this Frey Lisa on his last turn, I still felt like he should have killed the Soul Ring. But it was not a horrible game. And then I guess my last game of the series here is going to be against TikTok, and then I'll show you the deck list real quick before I leave. TikTok is playing Geth Lord of the Vault, and this hand is perfectly keepable. It's got a Trinket Mage. It can go turn 1 into my commander. It's got a Ponder. It's got a Regrowth. Perfectly keepable hand. He plays a Gouldraz Assassin, which, if you don't know what that card is, it can level up and then kill things. But it's -2/-2, and it's just till end of turn, so it actually cannot kill my commander until it's leveled 4 times, which is quite a mana investment. But I kind of want to bait him into doing it because I feel like if he just wastes that much time developing that creature, he's really going to be so far behind. I'm going to go ahead and play the commander anyway, and then hopefully he'll start leveling this guy, and he, in fact, does pump a level right into this guy. And I'm going to go ahead and Trinket Mage here, and I'm going to go get Mana Crypt. I think about not playing it for the damage, but I figure that's not going to be relevant, and I really, really, really don't want that Duress or Thought Seized out of my hand. Black doesn't really have a lot of way to kill the artifacts once they hit the field, at least not cheaply. And he goes ahead and levels it up and kills the Trinket Mage, which I'm perfectly okay with. Trinket Mage has done his job, and with the Regrowth, it even kind of gives me more options. And drawing the Cyclonic Rift is excellent, because now if he uses the next turn and pretty much time walks himself for 4 turns in a row to get this Spectre up to do something, I'm going to be able to get rid of it. And that's actually very, very good, because I don't want to be able to kill my commanders and this Glen Alondra Archmage and other things. I decided to lead with the Ponder, decide whether or not I need to regrowth a land back, and 2 lands on top, obviously not. So I can go ahead and invest in my commander here, and this should really bait him into investing all his mana into getting his Gouldraz Spectre into kills both my commanders mode. So he in fact goes for the bait, levels up fully, but he can't activate, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So obviously we're going to rift that off the board before he can actually make that play. I'm going to go ahead and play my Archmage first. And I consider the Regrowth, but I don't really want to eat a kill spell, especially on my mana guy, so I decided I'll just keep the Archmage up. It's not really a huge investment. He plays a Gauntlet of Power, which is kind of scary. What am I thinking here? I regrowth the Trinket Mage. Oh, now I remember. I don't think I drew a Brainstorm. I want to say I drew a Court of Calling. And then I Court of Calling, and the reason I took that line is because I Court of Calling Rexage to kill his Gauntlet of Power, thinking I have Memory Jar ready to go. And then I think he scoops when I put the Rexage into play, killing his Gauntlet of Power, which I was tapped out, so I couldn't really use the Archmage. So if he did have a Wrath spell, like a Damnation or something like that, I wouldn't be in an excellent position because I'd lose the Kydel. But I'd still have the Memory Jar, and I could probably from that point go Memory Jar, or Kydel rather, pass on Archmage, and then Memory Jar on the next turn. I did not draw this Brainstorm here, so the game bugs right at the end, but you can pretty much see the whole game, so I don't think that's incredibly relevant. I'm still not 100% happy with this list, but from the last time I made a video, and especially the deck, I've made quite a few changes. I think I cut a Wasteland, so I'm going to land more shy, but I've added some mana sources. I added the Coalition Relic. I had too many cards at 4, and they weren't really the right cards at 4. This year I've put Pod and Metamorph at 3 because that's what they really are. I added Ponder and Preordain, as you've seen. I also added the Worldly Tutor. I ditched Intuition. I ditched Solemn Simulacrum / Natural Order slot. I ditched a lot of cards. I added more counter spells. I added Negate. I added Misdirection. I added Swan Song, and I added what was the other counter spell I added? Oh, I added Venser. So I've upped my counter spell count a little bit here. And the Venser I kind of like better than the Body Double. That was one of the more recent changes because it does pod into Muse. And the pod isn't really the super powerful tutor everything card here. It's mostly the find Seedborn Muse for a cheap card and gets additional value throughout the game type deal. Um, so I kind of like this also as a universal bounce for everything. I'm trying to think what else I added. I had the Rhystic Study, even though it doesn't really have synergy with the general. I felt like I needed more proactive 3-drops because I had the Fabricate and I had the Trinket Mage. But the Windfall you don't really want to use right away. This is more of a defensive. This is yet again more utility. The Metamorph copy, it just depends. And I had the Birthing Pod, which is kind of proactive. But I feel like the Relic was the best choice at 3. Not only does it have synergy with the Seedborn Muse, it kind of supports the Kydel in a way, because if we get our 4th land drop with the charge, we can now use these 2cc counter spells to defend ourselves a little bit better, as well as the fact that it potentially could run me straight into one of these powerful 6-drop spells. Um, so I felt like it was a better choice than just using like a Kodama Reach or something like that, and I really did need some more stuff at 3, and I needed some more stuff at 1. I cut the secondary kill condition of Replication, which was kind of clogging the deck, plus Crater Hoof. I never really felt like I needed them, and I feel like I can always get back my main kill condition. If not, this deck has enough control to literally just kind of swing with kind of some dorky dudes and just kind of hold everyone back. It's not the best, but I don't really expect to put myself in a position where this gets exiled all that often, though I do kind of play it for value often. I really don't think I'm going to be put in a position where it's that much of a problem. And getting over 50 is really not that difficult. So if I play this and get over 50 and someone tries to exile it, I can always choose to lose a bunch of life and just kill that player and not let their spell resolve, which is quite nice. I'm trying to think what else I cut and what else I added. I'm trying to remember what the newer cards are. I think I made I think I made more changes in that. I'm trying to see if what else is new here. Maybe not. I think in all I've changed like 9 cards maybe since the last video, I want to say. And another change I was considering making was since this is a 2-color deck, I think I can probably support Homeward Path. I haven't really decided whether I want to add that or not. I do play some theft effects myself. However, I really don't want someone to be stealing my Seedborn Muse. That would just be a kick in the balls. So I don't really have a whole lot of land toolboxing, but I do have the Expedition map as well as the Trinket Mage to find the Expedition map, or the Fabricate to find the Expedition map. Or if I really want to go long, the the Mystical Tutor to find the Fabricate to find the Expedition map, or the Mystical Tutor through the Merchant Scroll to find the Fabricate to find the Expedition map. But now it's a little bit far-fetched at that point. Um, but I feel like I could probably cut um, most likely the forest. This deck is very blue at this point. Probably just a basic forest to get the Homeward Path in the deck, and it probably wouldn't be that much of a problem. In fact, I think I'll test that for my next session. I supported the Wasteland previously, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. Um, which forest is the ugliest? This forest is definitely the ugliest. Okay, so we'll try that for next time. But that's what my deck looks like currently. I know this video probably went a little longer than I intended it to. But for next time, I do have another deck I am working on that I think you guys will like. I don't want to spoil too much, but I think you'll be happy. I necessarily was not very happy to build the deck and test it, but I think you guys are gonna be very happy. It's a budgeted deck. I'm not going to be using expensive dual lands. I'm not going to be using Mana Crypt, even though it's cheap on here. I'm not going to be using Mana Drain. I'm not going to be using super powerful tutors. And considering, okay, I'm going to give you a little spoiler. If you stayed all the way till the end, you're going to figure out what the spoiler is. It's a deck that has lots of colors. So that's going to be something that you guys can look forward to. Until next time, this is